Welcome to the Chromaniacs, episode 5. Here we go. Thursday, June 26th. It's your San Diego FC independent podcast talking all things about Los Chromados. My name is Craig Elston, joined once again by Tony Sanchez from SanDiego.Futbol. What's going on, Tony?
It is happening. I love when my mouth gets shut, and I'll be completely honest. And as you can see, for the first time ever, if you're watching here on SanDiego.Futbol or listening, wherever you may be listening, thank you for supporting. The first time on camera I've ever worn something San Diego FC.
Ooh.
I'll tell you why. Greg and Alex, how are you guys?
Alex Pena joining us from Chromaniacs FC. What's going on, Alex?
Man, doing so well. Had a little extra pep in my step after last night's game, and man, things are just happening in San Diego today. It just feels great after that great win last night.
It's wonderful to have all of you joining us. Thank you for being here. If you're finding us on YouTube, where we've been here for 5 episodes, really appreciate it. If you can do us the favor of the thumbs up, clicking subscribe, making sure you're here for every episode of the show. We appreciate it. If you have found us on your various podcast feeds, thank you so much. It took us a while to get there, but there we are. For any young podcast, and we're a young podcast, this is episode 5, 5-star review. It's so huge for us. Throw in a nice, kind written review, letting people know that this is the place to go for SDFC talk. Thanks to everyone who helps us and supports us along the way. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, on Google Play, on iHeart, on Spreaker. You can find us wherever you can find these things. Overcast. What do you use? I don't know. What do you guys use?
I think I go old school, just Spotify, because that's the one that I pay for. So, hey.
Yeah, same here.
Apple Podcasts for me, because that's the one I pay for.
There you go. I'm glad we're
pay. Well, today, unlike many of our shows, we've got a match that was just played last night. So we've got a match to dig into. We're going to get into it. We're going to get into some discussion topics around MLS All-Star match, which we'll see 3 Chromados out there on the pitch. We'll get into all of that. We'll look ahead, because this is a 2-match week for San Diego FC. They've got FC Dallas. They're looking to finish the deal. They smashed FC Dallas 5-0 at Snapdragon Stadium. It's revenge time for FC Dallas. Can San Diego get all 6 points in the series? We'll talk about that to wrap up the show. But guys, let's start with the burning question that truly everyone in San Diego should be asking on this beautiful day, which is, where's Milan Iloski's mural? Why isn't it up yet? Where's it going to be? Should there be more than one? Because there was more than one goal. There were 4 goals. Should there be 4 murals in the 4 corners of the 18 cities of San Diego? Should they be put in an interwoven flow? Where does the mural go, gentlemen? Because the greatest player in the history of San Diego FC is Milan Iloski.
Wow. I mean, Escondido, that was my vote. I thought in the chat we discussed it, right? And we're like, I answered it like legitimately, like, you know what? Washington Park in Escondido, he plays pickup there. He grew up there. That'd be really cool. But like the fact that, I mean, yes, it's a new club, but that is a true statement. The greatest player in San Diego FC history is a local kid in Milan Iloski. You know, like, he once was an enemy of the San Diego soccerverse, and he loved scoring against San Diego, but now he helps San Diego. He's learned from the dark arts, and he's learned the secrets, and he's now doing it, and it's homegrown cooking for San Diego FC and Milan Iloski. And man, it's exciting to see what he's been able to do, and honestly shut people's mouths. And if it's just mine, because I was the only one saying to, hey, keep bringing it off the bench, it's fine, then I'm fine having been that person. And that's why I'm wearing this, by the way. Whenever San Diego FC proves me wrong, hey, you get your marketing on me for an episode. There you go. No other reason. There you go.
San Diego FC getting their flowers from Tony Sanchez here. Oh man, yeah, I think I said the same thing. It's got to be an Escondido, maybe outside of Tony Pepperoni's out there. Find a spot somewhere on Grand. Man, he could be just the best player, and I guess in some ways he is kind of a homegrown, not in the very traditional way, but as the player that was born here, grew up here, played his soccer here. He didn't have that professional club to go to until now. And, I want to say it, and I hope, I start hearing the chants out there at Snapdragon. Milan Iloski, he's one of our own.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I know it sounds hyperbolic. How many minutes has Milan Iloski played? He's got 9 goals. I think it's like less than 400 minutes.
I
Yes.
believe he's
9
like
goals.
292 currently.
Less than 300 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's
It's a
averaging a
300.
goal every half hour. Okay? That's a hat trick a game. And the audacity of what this perfect human being, the greatest human I've ever seen, what this man did in Vancouver, on the carpet, at BC Place, under the dome, in front of thirsty fans, in a battle for first place. He scored with his left. He scored with his right. He scored with his dome. In 10 minutes, 9 minutes, a perfect hat trick. The type of thing that is the stuff of legend. The type of thing that's spoken about by kids on a field, by parents in the stands, by fans at a bar. Left, right, head. Let me tell you, being around elite scorers, I've been great friends with the greatest indoor scorer of all time, Craig Childs. This is the type of shit scorers talk about.
Yep.
When they talk to each other.
Mhm.
Okay? When scorers talk to scorers, they're like, well, yeah, but how many with the left? You're right-footed. How many with the left? Well, how many times did you go left, right, header? How many times did you go left, right, header, bike? Like Farber would probably, as you know, Tony, right? He'd throw it like, well, what about, did you throw a bike in there along the way? Like, this is literally the stuff of legend. This is what legends talk to legends about. And when Milan Iloski slotted his 4th goal, what did he do? The Jordan shrug. He did the shrug. What do you want from me? What do you want from me? You put me on the field. I'm going to score. Varis, obviously, early adopter of Chromaniacs, because we said on his Chromaniac podcasts, he scores 2 goals and a half. What is he going to do if you give him a whole game?
Yeah.
The obvious answer was 4. And he's the 20th player in the history of MLS to score 4 goals in a match. The 20th player in the history of MLS to score 4 goals in a match. He did it 47 minutes into the match.
It's incredible. Just, I was speaking with somebody from across the pond who interviewed me about San Diego FC specifically today, and mentioning, how impressive this was, and just talking about the league in general and the health. And if this was Robert Lewandowski, it'd be world headlines right now. World headlines. And granted, we are now understanding what MLS is and the reality and where it sits in the world and global perspective. But when a player scores 4 goals in that amount of time, it's not only ludicrous, that's a goal. That's a perfect hat trick is what that's called, because it's of the versatility of it, because he gets it done. If anything, he could have done it with his back if he wanted to. He's virtually unstoppable as is. When a kid is growing up and playing EAFC, or as it used to be called FIFA, and you're playing with your ultimate team, and you have a player in real life go off like this, you transfer them into Chivas, you transfer them into Chelsea, you transfer them. And Alex is laughing. Yeah, it's true. And then you wait for their team of the week card because that card is going to be pristine. It's going to be exactly more like the real life card that you're going to see. And that's how you build fans. That's how you start building that fan base for a lone player, a player that is being borrowed for now. But I mean, it's only going to get more expensive. Like, I don't know if that's kind of being factored in. Last week, he was a certain price, and you were already like, okay, well, we're going to negotiate here. Now, the A side is Iloski and company, 100%.
Man, and going back to what Craig said about going to his left and to his right, and crossing over a little bit, because you know what that reminds me of? Remember, it's a very classic moment in Padres history when Khalil Green wore the throwbacks against the Cubs, and he went to his left and he went to his right, and there was
I was at that
nothing.
game.
Yeah, nothing was getting through shortstop that day. Like and I think he went 2 for 4, maybe home run.
I think
Maybe.
so. I don't remember.
Yeah,
I remember
but it
time
was,
to the left, time to the
but
right. That's what I remember.
yeah, I think everybody remembers him wearing the throwback jerseys. The Cubs were there. It was a great night, and you see that as a great performance in Padres history. Well, this is going to rank up there, right, in San Diego sports history as one of the greatest performances up there. And what a night for Milan Iloski. He takes over the team lead in goals in just one night. He had 5 goals, and then he scores 4 and takes over that lead. Now he has 9. Man, and it just, and it, to me, just going through each goal, even the one he missed, the one that was blocked right to the goalie.
Yes, he
The
smashed that.
He smashed it, right. It was pure just velocity, like so much strength behind that kick. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know this was part of your game, Milan Iloski. I want to see more. And then he gave it to us. The second one, same thing. Was like back to the goalkeeper, but this time he followed up. He ran with it. He went right to it and score that first goal. And it's like, oh man, he's got some power on that left leg of his, and he can use it. And that's something that we haven't seen out of our strikers, like a very powerful leg that can just get a goal in an instant like that. And you mentioned Robert Lewandowski. I remember I've seen a very good striker in my day, watching Tottenham, one and only Harry Kane. And
Yep.
man, the thing about Harry Kane is, like, he doesn't have like the agility. He has enough speed, but not the agility, not the moves, but he has so much patience. And he finds those windows, those tight corners, that's what makes Harry Kane so great. That's why it makes him such a prolific goal scorer. That's what he does. He just knows where to be. He knows, he has such good awareness of, like, okay, I know there's going to be defenders around me, and like, how am I going to get this kick off? Where I need to kick it. He knows exactly how to do that, and you're kind of seeing that with Milan Iloski too. Like, for that third goal, he knew exactly where he had to be, and get the header in too. And it just, that is just the awareness of a striker right there, and that's like the missing piece. That's the thing we've been talking about. That's going to make this a more complete team.
It's the missing piece.
Yep.
I mean, a perfect header. That's one of the most electric plays you'll ever see in your life. The guy turns himself into a torpedo, and the torpedo has to hit the middle of the soccer ball, and he doesn't. Flying parallel to the pitch. My son gets me into a Japanese anime called Blue Lock. Have you guys ever heard of Blue Lock?
Yes. Let's go.
Blue Lock is the search for the ultimate striker in Japanese football. And it's a whole group of strikers, nothing but strikers that are brought to this academy. And some strikers have to play goalkeeper and some have to play defender, but like it's nothing but strikers. And all they're trying to find is like the most egotistical, the most selfish, the most aware, And I feel like we have stumbled onto that striker because the ultimate hero of Blue Lock, his ultimate power is awareness. He knows how to quote unquote smell a goal. Like Milan Iloski knows how to smell a goal. Like he knows the smell of a goal. He knows to be in the right place. He knows the speed at which to play to get the ball, and then he knows what to do with it. And I brought up Childs, and I know we're talking outdoor to indoor, although Craig Childs played MLS for Chivas USA. But like he is a player I've been around in my professional career that just scores. Scores from over here, scores from over there, scores with his head, scores with his left, scores with his right. Given the ball in the area, he's going to kill you. And Iloski is giving this is a legend being made. If he never scores again, what he's done is the shit of legends.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember this guy who scored 9 goals in under 300 minutes in the inaugural season? But what if he keeps going? I'll be hyperbolic as all get out. He's kind of reminded me of Klinsmann. He's kind of reminded me of Klinsmann. Like finding spots, being in the right place, being this obnoxious guy that just finds his way. That's Iloski right now. Like, guys, the audacity of hope that he can be R9. Like, why can't he be R9?
I don't see any evidence, and that's what I will always support my arguments in terms of what I genuinely think of, like, hey, well, this should happen. We feel this way, but this is what should happen. And I generally thought, look, if Milan Iloski is being very productive off the bench, if you have Marcus Varsson, who is healthy, which, by the way, check out that injury report. He is listed once again in Varsson. So just something to keep an eye on. It's the natural progression of soccer. You're supposed to put Tomas Angel there. Hey, he gets a goal too. Great. Good on him, by the way. But Iloski is just cementing himself as you have no absolute standing if you want to put me as a sub anymore. I start from here on out. And he tells Mikey Vadas, hey, by the way, I start. Like, I don't like I may train a little lighter. I may train a little bit on separately. I might drink an extra Gatorade today. And Mikey Vada should probably say, you know what? You do you. It's been working. Whatever's been happening, go ahead and do you. And this is just so cool seeing him also just being shown in the community as well, right? Like I'm starting to see Iloski in the news. I'm starting to see Iloski around town doing the circles and the circuits and being like, hey, local kid, like good. That fills a cup for this team. This fills a cup for the team, not just in terms of like a good story, but a literal killer, a nightmare. There was a video, I believe it was his family, he called him Milan the Nightmare Iloski.
I heard that, yes. It's a way to go,
goodness.
Nightmare. And I was like, yeah, he is the nightmare.
That's good. That's from here on out. That's what it is. Like, and that number 32 jersey, if it turns into a number 9 next year or just kind of goes to a different one, that's fine. But let me tell you, 32 SanDiego Iloski, that's what people are going to talk about, right? Did you remember when he had that back in the day, that season? Oh, 32. Oh yeah, that's an OG fan. Oh, that's you must.
I literally want one of those kids. Like I want one. I want a 32 Iloski. Now, I mean, I don't know, Alex. Can he be the 9?
Yeah, no doubt. He has to be the 9 now. We don't have anyone that can do the things he can do in that position. Even if Chucky comes back, it's going to be really fun to see all 3 of them start a game. You got Chucky left, Iloski, Dreyer. That's going to be so fun to watch because defenses are going to have to. You're going to have to 2-man mark one of these guys, right? Is it going to be Chucky? Is it going to be Dreyer? Who's it going to be? Yeah, that's going to be really tough for the coach that has to figure that out, because I think if you try to stop one of them, then you're gonna leave somebody open, and they're gonna any three of those guys can score. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. It's so cool to see Iloski be that homegrown kid because yeah, now we're seeing it with kids are going to be looking up to him now, right? And they're going to be growing up, and they're going to want to come through the system, right? The SanDiego.FC system. This is going to be their pathway to come up and be on the team, and just because they saw Iloski do it, they see him on SanDiego.FC. So I think us taking advantage of we have two local guys in Luca and Milan. It's a really good thing for us because I think a lot of the kids here in the area are gonna see that and be like, hey, I want to be just like them.
Joe Musgrove got a mural for a no-hitter. He'd only won a handful of games for the San Diego Padres at that time, but he got a no-hitter. It was in April. That mural went up in Grossmont. Ground floor murals, get on it. Get on it, sons. Get stuck in.
Did you see the laundry list of achievements? Every press blast has just like, this person did this person did this person did this. Milan Iloski's is an essay of achievements just in this game. And again, we're talking about 12-minute period. Milan Iloski made his first start for SanDiego.FC in the MLS. And Iloski registered the club's first ever hat trick in his 3 goals. By the way, he scored 4. First 12 minutes, Escondido native has scored the most goals in a match for SanDiego.FC. Check. Like all these firsts again, like all these firsts are also part of his history and part of SanDiego.FC's history. This haul in the 34th, 35th, 36th, and 37th are the 37th goals of the season. And now he has scored 5 goals in 90 minutes because again, not just Milan Iloski, but SanDiego.FC as a whole has scored 9 goals in 2 matches. 9 goals. Incredible. Like, who's going to keep up with that? That's and by the way, this is against 1 and 2, potentially 3. But now
on the road. On the road.
On the road.
Without your center back. Without your center mid. Without your other organizing veteran center mid. And you did it all. Guys, this run for SanDiego.FC is raising the bar to levels that I didn't think was possible, and it's time to expand the show beyond number 32. But he deserved every one of those 20 minutes plus of discussion of Milan Iloski. You scored 4 goals. It was minute 47. You've got a 4 trick.
And we didn't even talk about the most impressive one, and I think it was the last one. I think that one was actually pretty cool. And
I know it was a great goal. I mean, no, it was a classic clinical rushing, coming in on pace, fires, collected, confident. Iloski is an absolute killer. Now, it's a team game, and every one of those goals were assisted, which is something into itself. And that particular pass was the 3rd assist for Anders Dreyer. Alex Mighton did yeoman's work to jump over the ball and to dummy it because Mighton wasn't going to score a goal there. But letting it get through to Iloski allowed the Chromaniacs to score a goal. And that's absolutely gigantic. Anders Dreyer, who prior to this probably had the opportunity. There's the hop. See ya. That's brilliant awareness. That's it's in your blood stuff right there. That makes Mikey Varas a truth teller when he says the game's in your blood. When you're able to jump, oh wow!
I don't know if you saw
coming. I didn't see that.
Beautiful by our friend Travis, and I mean, great work here by him. And this is exactly, he's a superhero at this point. This isn't even doing justice to the magic that Doctor Strange and the Nightmare Iloski did yesterday.
The nightmare. But Dreyer had an incredible match. And I'd like to add the second goal, while Dreyer got the assist, the hockey assist was Yeppe Tverskov, who made the brilliant pass and sent the ball from midfield to set up the 2v1 that set up Iloski's goal. These are a couple of all-stars, obviously, for San Diego FC, and we'll get into that more. But I thought the play of those veterans, Dreyer stands out. Tverskov, you have to pay attention to know why he's so good for this team. But those guys were great on Wednesday night.
And it kind of gives me a good feeling about the MLS votes in a sense, because Yeppe is on there. Like, that tells me, because again, learning this league, I'm just like, this, Craig. Historically, there are some leagues that just look at stats. I'm like, that guy scored the most. He's an all-star. Hey, that guy is whatever. But no, like, a boring defensive midfielder that slows things down, that is never really seen or mentioned until he is, to get an all-star vote for that tells me that there's somebody who's voting that knows the game. And if that's what MLS has, I really appreciate that's being taken care of. Alex?
Oh yeah, well deserved by Jeppe. Yeah, you don't see his stats stand out as much as the others, right? Whoever voted, for Jeppe to come in, it did a really great job, because he's a more of a central defensive midfielder, and he does things well, especially off the ball, that you're not counting on the stat sheet, right? He just, and everything, and for our offense, everything kind of just flows through him, and I think that's also key there, that someone needs to see it and really feel out what is happening in the system for Jeppe. And for Dreyer, my goodness, man, he's getting the conversation of MVP already, and we're almost over the halfway point of the season. And for those that are the uninitiated and haven't watched MLS, and this is like your first time, uh, the goal contributions is the factor to win the MLS MVP award, also known as the Landon Donovan Award. And actually, that would be pretty cool. In the first season, we have a San Diego team winning the Landon Donovan Award. That actually would be really good. Dreyer has 19 so far. I think if you get over the 30 goals and assists, goal contribution stat, you're pretty much you're in it. You're going to be in the top conversation for this award. So, and it's so great to see what he can do, and I think he just demonstrated that so well in this last game. 3 assists, and he just knows how to set you up really well with each ball. It just comes from spending years playing overseas, and it just you could see that's like the X factor right now. It's just like the veteran leadership he can bring out, just the awareness, the where to place the ball, and it's just up to the players to do it. And now, and something that I'll cross over one more time, and this is a crossover I actually don't like doing, because I don't like this league as much as other people do, but there's something we used to hear a lot down in Mission Valley. It was rivers to gates. And I think Dreyer to Iloski is starting to sound a lot better. And I think that's going to be the new rivers to gates.
I love that. I love that.
Yes, me too.
Alex, I love that one. You know what? Fantastic. And I was just gonna say, like, man, like, is there in MLS just like a superstar super sub vote where Iloski is able to just slide in as an all-star? Like, because man, like, I get it, Chucky, like, sure, but like, if anything, what have you done for me recently, Iloski? Like, can he just borrow that for the day? Like,
well, I think I mentioned this to someone that I was talking to yesterday. Yeah, they asked about Iloski being in, and I was like, well, he might take Chuky's spot. And then someone tried to correct me. I was like, well, Chuky's going to come back on Saturday. It's like, well, Chuky gets hurt a lot. And I want to say that part quietly. I hope it doesn't happen, because he's a great player. This is he's the third player in the All-Star game for us. And what I think what everybody has to realize, this is a All-Star game that doesn't do what most teams do, or most leagues, I mean, where everybody gets a representative, and this isn't like that. There's only so many spots, and I tried to look it up yesterday. Is there like a reserve spot if someone drops out, gets hurt, something like that? And I couldn't find anything. But if something does happen, I'm guessing that Iloski will get a call up to the All-Star game. But that would be fun to see four guys. I think that's what I heard Vancouver get, right? Yeah, yesterday, that Vancouver has their 4 guys going. Hey, I think we're just as good as Vancouver, even better. That we deserve 4 guys.
Well, look, when Iloski scores his sock trick on Saturday and has a 6-goal match, then it'll just be impossible to deny. But that's a story for another day. Before we get away from BC Place, 5-3 was the final. That's 3 goals conceded. I think there were some lessons to be learned out of the second half. After Iloski's 4th goal, from 4-1 through 4-2, which was a period of 20-ish minutes, Vancouver held the ball mostly in SDFC's attacking third. It was a peppering of goal. It was chance after chance. It was some missed opportunities. Vancouver had a number of missed opportunities over the course of the match, which led the analyst on Apple TV Plus to say pretty late in the second half that he thought Vancouver was the better team on the night at the moment that it was 4-2. And literally as he said it, Angel scored for 5-2. And it was like, really? It's crazy. That's wild how good they must be to be losing 5-2 and still be better. Like, you've got to be really good to be losing 5-2 and still be better at that time. Yeah, right here, 90th minute. He's like, I do believe Vancouver the better team. Oh, Valakari to Angel. Okay. Yeah. By the way,
I would
great
say
pass.
the team just conceded for a 5th time.
Yeah, and to their credit, they got one late. They punched a couple in. There were a couple of very weak performances in terms of clearances from a couple of the defenders for SDFC on the evening. But I did think the bunkering was not great. And having said that, I'd also like to say that Vancouver got their second goal playing 11 on 10 because Alvarado went down and stayed down. I'm not sure the exact timing. I don't know if anyone timed it out, but it felt like it was over a minute that he stayed down, and Vancouver kept playing it in the offensive third. And again, that analyst was like, and very well so. Why not keep shooting? I feel like that dude has never been to San Diego. I'm like, you should come for vacation, enjoy some carne asada, birria, the queso birria, find out how good our place is. But anyways, I don't know. What did you guys think about that? Because that was pretty rough.
Go for it, Alex.
Yeah, it's hard, right? When you're a referee to, you're trying to see what's going on with the ball when action is flowing on one side, right? But when a player's down like that, I would think that you should, I think everyone kind of sees, like, yeah, he's calling for help. He's waving the trainers over. I think at that point you kind of should be stopping play and get him some help. And then on top of that, he had to leave in a stretcher. That's not really a good look for the referees. And yeah, I really do feel like they shouldn't have gotten that goal. They just kept playing. And yeah, that I really hope that, I call him Double A. Alejandro Alvarado is okay. Because, man, he was having a pretty good year. He was our depth piece in the midfield, and kind of losing that. It's kind of, you're kind of asking questions about the midfield. But, and it was kind of a, for me, it was a hard play to watch because I could see him just kind of waving like, come on, give me some help here. But yeah, what are your thoughts, Tony?
I mean, this is a play where in the run of play, you are SanDiego FC, you have one of your teammates down, like you question the referee in, hey, I thought you were all about player safety. And that should be the first thing every single referee, every person involved with the game should be looking at is player safety. It is an unwritten rule for a team to be courteous and exercise fair play and say, hey, you know what? We're going to stop play, kick the ball out, health first. However, they don't have to do that. In a boxing match, if you put your hands down at any moment, anybody can strike and knock you out. And if the referee wasn't separate, like you just need to be on guard at all times. Unfortunately, this is a situation where you find yourself in, and you can see the goal, but I don't like the lack of consistency for referees in that sort of things where that human element really comes through in those moments where, hey, even if the guy was faking, even if there was a little bit of extra crema en los tacos, if there was just too much, acting, that's you can deal with that later, right? But you dealt with the right thing first. You stopped the match, stopped the play, get him some help, go over, say, okay, cool. The other team's gonna get mad at you because you stopped the offensive flow, and you can just say, point to, well, if it was your player, you'd want me to stop it, right? And the answer should be right. But again, in the flow of things, it's an unwritten rule. The ball should have gone out. They did what they did. There's a goal conceded. Hopefully for Alvarado, it's better news. We'll be looking and keeping an ear out at training just to see what the update is. Just as you've known, and as we've come to learn, MLS and SanDiego FC, and just in general with soccer, just any injury and timetables, they don't like to get anywhere near any sort of information for that. It's not like any other leagues where you have, hey, position, team, player, out, parentheses. This is what he's out for 3 to 5 weeks. No, you're not going to get that with MLS at all.
Yeah, there's no IL list in MLS, so yeah, you just kind of play with what you got here.
And I think it bears noting, especially for newer fans, that unlike many other MLS teams, SanDiego FC does not have an MLS Next or USL Championship affiliate that they can just go call up players from. So every time that SDFC needs to replace a player, they got to go sign somebody. They got to make a roster move. They don't have a Right to Dream Academy here that's 10 years deep, that is built up an infrastructure that is built to replace. That's coming. That's coming in the future. The 2030s are bright for SanDiego FC and for the system. But for now, you have to go outside to get somebody. So, I hope Alvarado both A is okay, but B, if not, De La Torre and Godoy come back in time, maybe one game missed or something in the bridge, but come back to cover that up, and then it's kind of an issue that is healing behind the scenes for SanDiego FC. But a 5-3 win. Guys, did you, honest talk, like real talk, did you ever think that outside of maybe the first 2-3 matches where there's no sample size, that SDFC would be in first place in the West at any point this season?
No. No. And you know how I've straight to derecho a la flecha, like straight to a very pragmatic, like, no, like I didn't. And I think that was much like people were on the far bottom of the spectrum. We're like, yeah, no, 14th, 15th, that's where they're going to be clawing out of and hopefully putting something together. And okay, just like they were completely wrong. Equally as wrong was everybody saying, well, they're going to be battling for playoffs. At this point, they're an elite team. You cannot question that. Everybody was wrong unless you said they're going to be the best of the best in the entire country. Everybody was wrong, and that's okay. We have new information. We have new players. We're starting to see what teams are doing whenever they play SanDiego FC for a second time. There are teams that have adjusted better than others. There is definitely more quality in some teams than others, and you're learning to see how those matchups are happening. But this is data. This is raw data. And the raw data states SanDiego FC is the best if not one of the best teams in the entire country, period.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you that before the season, I mean, the very first Chromatic FC post, actually, it was second, when I previewed the LA Galaxy match. I was like, well, maybe if we squeak out a tie, we'd be good. But I was a little, they're the defending champs. Um, Lots of question marks on the back line, goalkeeper, things like that. That's what I was hearing. And I just didn't think it would be a first place team this quickly. I thought that if anything, we'd be playing for a wild card spot. I thought that this team needed to grow and maybe endure some of those losses. I really thought when they're playing like Columbus Crew, Sounders, LAFC, those were going to be games that like, hey, maybe you draw. Like when I saw it, first in the schedule, like those are some tough teams, and you drew Columbus, you beat LAFC, you beat the Sounders at home. Those are some major wins, and then I think it just kind of the expectations started to grow to the point now that everyone's asking, like, okay, what do we need to do to get to the wild card? What do we need to do to get to the playoffs? How many points do we need to secure this first place? You know, uh, if you want to go for this supporters shield. Yeah, those are the questions that fans are asking now. Like, how far can we take this team? And uh, man, I try to do my best Jonah Hill impression this morning, and I do have some answers that maybe if you're gunning for the wild card, if you're trying to clinch a playoff spot, I say it's going to be 47 points, just
Okay.
about that, and right now we're at 36, so about 12 points, so that's 4 wins.
Yeah.
We need 4 wins just to probably get a wild card spot, right? And I would say within those next few games, you could probably do that. Just stay first in the West. Uh, this in the last 10 years or so, we've seen teams get 56 points to win it, or it could be 72. I think the average right now in the last 10 years it's about 62 points. So we're not that far off. We're 26 points away from getting those 62 points to secure that first place spot. So if people are gunning high and trying to think like, hey, maybe we can get a supporter shield out of this first year, I think it's possible. I mean, you're thinking, you're obviously we should be in the playoff conversation right now, and then you're also thinking like, well, how in the first year, how can you get the most wins for an expansion team? That's only 17, right?
That's 6
And
more wins.
that's 6 more wins. And if you want to get the most points for an expansion team, that's 57. We're 21 points away. Uh, I think that's all doable. We still got 15 more matches to go. That 45 points available. Um, you're pretty much asking for like if this team can just coast, maybe at 500, maybe just a little above it, you can make, crush those milestones right there. You could probably get the most wins and the most points.
By coasting.
Yeah.
What if they did well?
Oh
How are
my
they going to
goodness.
stop Chucky with Iloski with Dreyer? How are they going to stop the triple nightmare? We got to find out. Well, I think it's a real statement as to the quality of San Diego FC, gentlemen, that when they announced the MLS All-Star teams, that 3 players who had not been in the league, who had been identified by this first-year franchise, 2 of them as designated players to lead their club, another as their designated captain, that those three players made the MLS All-Star team. Chucky Lozano, Anders Dreyer, Jeppe Tverskov. To me, obviously, all the flowers to the players for their accomplishment, but this to me is a gigantic bouquet to Tyler Heaps, because the way that this club has been built has allowed these three players who he picked 1, 2, 3 to be the guys, to be the leaders, the tone setters, the drumbeat of the team. They've all been named to the All-Star team.
It's incredible. Like, this doesn't happen. Like, when I say, like, I've watched enough soccer, just at least the modern game, where the scouting aspect is just so surgical, where everything's just scientific, and the data and the analytics and all sports have become very specialized. This is what it means when soccer starts harnessing that power in its completeness. And I think the structure of MLS also allows for all these sorts of unique problems and situations for Tyler Heaps to solve when it comes to GAM, when it comes to TAM. Like, if there's one person that at some point we should just sit down and tie down and be like, okay, Tyler, make me understand how you understand GAM and TAM. I want to go ahead and be that good at this. And that's would be the real genius of somebody, just somebody be able to explain it and dumb it down into a layman. And I'm pretty sure we can go ahead and have that conversation, because in my interactions with him, he's a dude. He's a bro. He's a young guy who knows what he's doing, and he's put down an absolute lethal squad of teams, players that are going to really bulldoze through this league, and they have been, and it's incredible. Every single part of this team has something to offer to the squad, and even those who aren't because of injury, Marcus and Varson, like how pivotal he was, you're not even missing. You're not even like, oh man, if only Varson was in this team. And when we were saying, ooh, maybe this team does need Marcus, here comes a Milan Iloski. Here comes the deal that San Diego FC worked on with Orange County SC back when that was barely starting, and the talks were starting for San Diego FC to become MLS, and they made that partnership. They got Milan Iloski from USL, shipped him over to FC Northland. Like, this has been in the works way before a ball was actually kicked. This was planned by San Diego FC, and now they're bearing the fruits of it. So if this is the direction that San Diego FC is going, let me tell you, like, San Diego fans are going to be in for a really, really good ride here.
Yeah, their stars are playing like stars. I mean, that's as simple as it can be, right? If anyone caught what was released a couple days ago, I believe the MLS salaries came out, and that's information that comes out around this time each year. Chucky Lozano is actually one of the highest paid players in MLS, and he's certainly, with his goals and his contributions, he's well deserved of that All-Star feat, and he really is playing like a designated player. And so is Anders Dreyer, who we got for 2.4 million. And let me tell you, that's considered a bargain right there, to get a designated player of his stature and with his contributions, for that type of deal. I mean, you do that every day of the week and twice on Sundays. So that, and Jeppe has been like a revelation to see him play. I and that's the thing about these guys is, we didn't know much about them. I knew, well, we all knew about Chucky, being a Mexican National League fan. We knew about Chucky, but we didn't know about Dreyer. We didn't know about Tverskov. We didn't know about Vartson or any of these guys. They were coming over. This is all new to them. So how they were going to adapt to a new league was going to be interesting. It's and how they were going to play with these other guys. That are they to the stature of what they've seen, out overseas where they were playing? Or, it's like, how much of a learning curve was this going to be? And it's been great to see how this team plays like such a fun team. They play together, they stick together, and not only that, they play out the entire game now. They they don't mind. They will go for the late goal if they have to. It even in garbage time. Let's score another goal. And we'll talk about Dallas in a second, and that's kind of what they did. And yeah, this is a great team, very well put together by Mikey Varas and forgot his name.
Tyler Hicks,
Tyler Heath.
Tyler Hicks. There we go. Tyler Hicks.
Mr. Haran.
Mr. Haran.
Yes, exactly.
Mr. Haran.
Well, I mean, the way he's going right now, he's hanging on to his name. I've got a couple unanswerable questions that we can just kind of table for another day. Like, how much does Iloski's development affect the big time short term decision making? Do you go try and get another striker, or would you consider using a third DP slot on something like a center defender, or something toward the back, which would be a little less traditional? Or would Iloski's development allow you to just go under 22 and not go with the third DP because you're like, Iloski's our third DP and he's making whatever peanuts? Does this team even need Marcus Ingvartsen? Could there be a world where they're moving away from him going forward because he just doesn't have a job? We don't need to talk about that stuff. We can time and further data will help answer even the question, why is SDFC good on the road? I don't know. All I can say is that these two matches, and I'm not kidding you, going to Minnesota, going to Vancouver, getting these results on the second half of the international break, missing some of your key players, missing Chucky, this is making me a believer. These are the things that make me go, if this team can do this, why can't they play for MLS Cup? Why can't they play for Supporters Shield? Why can't they go for the top of the top and try and be in CONCACAF Champions League next year like Vancouver was this year? Like, all this stuff is on the board, and these two road results are the results that are making me dream, giving me the right to dream.
It's a consistency. The consistency that this squad and Mikey Varas has instilled, and the confidence to be themselves. There's players here who, yes, they understand the assignment. I need to go ahead and be a defensive midfielder on the left side, where I usually, in Panama, if you're Godoy, historically play on the right side. But I understand the assignment that I need to let that spot be for Yepes Ferskov, and I need to contribute to the team and do what I need to do and be the enforcer that I need to be while still maintaining my identity as a player. And that is something that you see from every single one of these players that take the field for San Diego FC. They are really able to say, I'll do what you're asking me to and be consistent about it, but I'll offer who I am. And that's where you see the sparks of individuality throughout this team and the squad. And that's what makes this team very special, because yes, it's a team. They have the consistency. They have the discipline to maintain and not frustrate themselves when it's just not working. They can break somebody down. And that's the hardest thing to do for any team, is to instill that. And they've had that since the get-go. They had it in Galaxy. They ruined, you heard Anders Dreyer say, we ruined the party here and we loved it. Like, that was already there, and that's impressive. And that's, again, kudos to Mikey Varas and his staff and the human development. And that's something that I love about Right to Dream. And again, like, I may be pragmatic. I may be like meh about some stuff with San Diego FC, but like, they have a human development person who looks after the players, not just in one way, but just as an overall human, which is the cool aspect of these kids coming into it. 15, 16, they're going to develop into hopefully good human beings going up. And, this to say, I'm really happy, Craig, whenever I hear your former, associates of your fellow compadres on radio waves who are, usually talk about baseball, and I hear them talking about soccer, like, something popped up. Oh, the Crew in LA. Oh, okay. San Diego FC. Okay, that's interesting. Glad you guys are talking about it. I'm glad it's making waves. I'm glad it's making a really, really.
Does it run deep too, Tony?
One day, everybody will also talk about wave in that same way. Maybe. But if not, hey, that's fine. And Snapdragon will be taken care of by SDFC.
Yeah, it's this is a fun time. The vibes are just off the chart right now, and you know everybody just come on in, just enjoy the party, enjoy the good times we're having. It seems like we found a great striker in Iloski, and even some of the things like Dreyer is a designated player. He plays out in the wing, and he will come into the midfield and get in those pockets, and also go out and defend. And he's a pretty good defender. The way he does things is not what you see out of a winger, and then a winger from his stature, right? You pretty much want your winger just go out wide, we'll get you the ball. And no, he wants the ball. He will come in and try to get it himself. That was the reason he scored that goal in the first place last week. He's like, I want the ball. I'm gonna stay here in the midfield, and then I'm gonna shoot it from here. Yeah, that's the type of player he is, and it's really showing in the team. Like they're doing the things that just needs to get done, right, Tony? Like you said, it just all the little things that need to get done. He's doing it. Even last night, he's out there playing attacking fielder role, letting Angel play in front of him, play Boateng in front of him. He was more in the midfield in those last final minutes, and Iloski too. He kind of came in, and then he was also coming out. So it's like these guys are doing the things that they're asked, and they're doing it pretty well. And that's just a team mentality, and it's really great to see in their first season.
Well, guys, let's wrap up with a preview of Saturday's match because it's a two-match road week for San Diego FC, not back home until the first weekend of July. And it wraps up here, FC Dallas, a club that when we chatted about them the first time, knew that this was a team that on the road really wasn't bringing a lot, wasn't scoring, was basically playing for draws, and San Diego FC thumped them 5-0. So this is FC Dallas's opportunity to show that they've learned something, that home pitch matters, that they've made adjustments to what SDFC can do, and I mean, they've got to hope that they've got something more in the guns because this SDFC club is coming in having scored 9 goals in the last 2 matches on the road, and they beat you for 5, as they would say on my beloved hockey comedy Shorzy, pumped you 5 goose. They pumped you 5 goose last time. So what are you going to do this time, Dallas FC Dallas? What do you think, Alex? You're our preview meister.
Oh man, yes. Last time we beat them at home 5-0. We got 2 goals out of Lozano. Dreyer got a goal. Valakari, surprisingly, got a goal. Iloski got a goal. That was the game he kissed the badge.
Yep, and came
Yeah.
into the stands. Yeah.
Yes, he was out there. He wanted to party with all the people out there in the Frontera SC. And he is, I mean, that was when we first saw, the lore of Iloski starting to come out. But man, this FC Dallas team is it's really something. They've only have one regular season home win. They have another home win, but that's against AV Alta FC. That was for the US Open Cup. So that one really, you can count it if you want, but only win was against Sporting KC, and that was a 2-1 victory. And Sporting KC, they also have their issues too. But last night, watching a little bit of the San Jose Earthquakes, and two guys got red cards, so we might not see them. And one is actually a pretty big deal, and Sebastian Ibaga. He is normally their starter in the back line, and I wonder if this is one of those, if they want to appeal it, or if they're just going to have to go through the And the red card thing that they do where they have to sit out for a game, but they have that one. Kayak got the other red card, and he's normally on the bench anyway. But when it came to this match, this team is a little bit different than the last two teams we've faced because they didn't get any Gold Cup call-ups, and so that they're gonna have their full squad. It's a little different, right? So they're gonna have Luciano Acosta there. They're gonna have Peter Musa, who scored a goal yesterday. Shaq Moore, he scored a goal yesterday. Um, these are their starters. It's going to be a pretty full squad for them. But just like last time, we probably have some minutes from Chucky Lozano. We're seeing the adaptations from SanDiego.FC and how they're getting good minutes from players that like Alvarado is out. Valakari's in. Valakari's in the midfield. They're going to need another midfielder there for Saturday, and yeah, you're just hoping that you're gunning for another win. This is another team that is just outside the bubble there, and if you're looking at the standings for the wild card spot, you really want to beat these teams and keep pushing them down. That way you can get those points, and hopefully with the squad that we have, I know we've yet to hear what's going to happen with Alejandro Alvarado, but I still think this should be a win against FC Dallas, and we should be able to take these 3 points.
Yeah, I mean, look, the good thing about this is that Mikey Varas knows FC Dallas. He came from FC Dallas in his in his up and coming young coaching career through that academy, through that development. And the thing about having an academy and development is that you have a style of philosophy, so you would know and hope that Mikey Varas knows the secret sauce too, there, or at least a little bit, at least what it used to taste like, right? So he has that idea of what he's going into. They're not doing that well this season. They have players missing. It's San Diego's coming off of a great game. It's a perfect game to go downshift and say, you know what? Let's just downshift it a little bit. Let's just go ahead and get some minutes for some players. Let's still win. Let's still go for the win, but let's go ahead and maybe let's play this game a little bit. And so that can give a chance for any team to say, all right, well, we're going to go ahead and try a little bit better. There's definitely a target on the back of SanDiego.FC now. Does that mean that FC Dallas is going to out of nowhere resurrect, the legends of old and just have the best game of their season against SanDiego.FC? I don't think so. And I think SanDiego.FC is going to just continue cruising on this magical mystery tour that they've been on and bring it back to Snapdragon in a positive way. But I mean, it'll be interesting to see how Mikey Varas and company handle this because, yeah, there's not a lot of depth. There just isn't.
I can't wait. To me, this is as simple, and I'm going to tie the bow and go full circle to wrap up the hour here. Can you guys stop Milan Iloski? Can you? Nobody else can. He scores 2 goals a half because you can't stop him. Now, if we add Lozano into the mix, and I don't know, would you think that it's a play the first half Chucky, or is it a 60th minute sub Chucky on Saturday?
Let him rest. If deploy Chucky if needed, and I think that's what happened in Seattle. And Mikey Varas was pretty sure that he was one Chucky Lozano away from that victory, and you just ended up maybe costing Chucky another injury. Again, you can't necessarily look at what happened the week before and just say that compiled, but like I would have liked to have Chucky rest up in Seattle between in that midweek last time he was out. So if you need him, sure, deploy him in the last 15. Let him get a light little sprint, not necessary for a victory or to come back and tie a game. I would rather not see Chucky Lozano play that much this weekend. Just for that. Like SDFC should be able to take care of business without him.
Yeah, just give him the last 30, if anything. But I do believe with what we have in, just with Dryer and Iloski up front, like you just have them deploy and set up the offense, and I think that'll be enough. That's going to be. I feel like that's even too much for Dallas to handle at this point in their season, especially since they're going to be down one of their starters in the back line, so they're going to have to put somebody else in that hasn't started for that team. And yeah, it 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 would be a good time to give some time, give Cookie a little bit more time, to be healthier during the season. So yeah, just for me, give him the last 30.
I'll put it this way, Craig. San Diego FC should be able to win and take care of business with a front three of Iloski, Dryer, and Elston.
Not sure I know all the assignments.
Hey,
Yeah.
no, well, yeah, it's fine because they'll take care of it. Milan will
Yeah,
take
just
care of
stand
it.
there.
Like,
Just stand there. Just stand near the goal, Craig. You're fine.
I saw how it worked when Alvarado just laid there. I mean, that's about what I'd be doing. So I don't know. I don't know. I feel like that's maybe that's a step too far, but I'll take the Iloski and Dryer part, and I'll accept the rest. All right, guys. When we get back together next week, we'll be bouncing off of this result, as well as thinking about San Diego FC coming back home. This is the Texas two-step part of the schedule. They got Houston Dynamo on the 5th of July. SDFC isn't going to put on some like disgusting jingoistic red, white, and blue thing, are they? Screaming Eagles?
Stars and Stripes night, right?
That's what I'm wondering. It's being advertised as Stars and Stripes night. Like they're not going to wear.
No.
They're not going to do that, right? They're not going to actually do that.
Adidas doesn't have that in their budget, so no.
Thank God. Please tell me it's true.
The American flag. Like, thank goodness they can't. But
yeah. Just wrap themselves.
It'd be the crest with the the stars and stripes on.
Be the crest with a bald eagle would be like biting at the crest, like caw.
Which Lozano refuses to wear. Put some.
That's what I'm saying. Like, could you imagine? The Danes are just confused. Like there would be an international incident. We don't need that. Let's just keep going with our flow. Keep that flow going. All right, guys. Great episode. Ton of fun. Thanks to everybody for supporting us. If you've made it here 68 minutes into the show, please do us the favor of that 5-star review on your respective podcast platform. If you happen to be here on YouTube watching the video, that thumbs up. If you've made it this far, give us that half second of a quarter calorie it's going to take you to click that like. It's going to be very thankful on our part. And Tony, how can everyone follow what you're doing at SanDiego.Futbol?
Oh, you just mentioned it. At SanDiego.Futbol is the website. SanDiego_Futbol on X. Anything related. SanDiego.Futbol. Really, if you type SanDiego.Futbol, we come up. And that's so cool. I tested it in Tijuana, and there's no link. It's just SanDiego.Futbol, and we come up. Just follow it, and we're going to go ahead and keep going with all soccer things in San Diego.
And Alex, how about Chromatic FC?
Yeah, Chromatic FC on Substack, and you could follow me in Blue Sky. Who knows Alex on Blue Sky?
You can follow me on Blue Sky as well at 619 Sports. I do more posting generally on Instagram at 619 Sports and Life, which carries over to Facebook. And every once in a while I look at my friends' requests, but to be honest, like, you're probably SOL on that one. Also, you can follow our Padres Hot Tub podcast, Padres Hot Tub. Well, it's a Padres podcast. It's not a podcast about Padres in hot tubs. I digress. Patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub is a great way to support us. And my television streaming podcast, Crossing Streams, is back with co-host Chris Reed. And we'll be back this week talking about Department Q. If you haven't watched that on Netflix, it was really, really good. But you can check that out. The 244th episode of Crossing Streams is coming out later this week and into the weekend. And you can find that wherever you find your podcasts. For Tony Sanchez and Alex Pena, I'm Craig Elston. Thank you so much for supporting episode 5 of Chromaniacs. We've got a long road to go, but we're taking those steps. And until we speak next time, vamos, SDFC.